Hello, it's Emma here. I am Emma Green. I am the tennis elbow queen, and yesterday was World PT Day. So it was World Physical Therapy Day yesterday. I did have something planned, but then I got totally distracted by what I have to bring up. Obviously, the passing of the Queen in the UK. Massive deal. Obviously, I'm from the UK. I don't live there anymore, but still obviously have lots of ties over there, family and friends over there. So yeah, such a huge deal. Got really sort of sucked into all of that and sidetracked by that yesterday. So amazing lady. Was working on Tuesday, passed on Thursday. I guess that's kind of how we all want to go, isn't it? But obviously not too soon. So we're still in the throes of that a little bit in the UK, but I wanted to jump on and not let World PT Day go, because I wanted to ask you some questions about that and kind of bring up some issues that I know I've spoken to clients about in the past, and some of the common things that I hear people talking about with regards to PT and elbow pain. So, I am a physical therapist. I trained as a physiotherapist in the UK, so I did my training over there, worked there for 10 years before coming to Southern California, knock my laptop off, and I'm now a physical therapist. I'm a licensed physical therapist in California. So I do physical therapy. I'm a physio, I'm a PT, and this is what I do. Now, I know lots of people who have had elbow pain have had physical therapy or physio. It's the same thing. I'm going to use the words interchangeably. So if you hear physical therapy, think physio, or, vice versa. And I know many people, and I hear people say to me, oh, I had physio, it didn't work for me. And so I kind of wanted to address that, because not all physio is created equally, not all physical therapy is created equally. There are specialists in different fields. So, if you've got either of my books, you'll see that I do talk about generalists and specialists, because there are many people, many therapists are general therapists who will see everybody, whether your neck, your back, your shoulder, your hip, your elbow, whatever it is, they can work with you. And many people are generalists. Now, some people are specialists, and certainly when I was working in the UK, they tend to have more specialized clinics for certain things. Just my experience, working in both countries. So when I worked as a more junior therapist, when I was sort of first coming out of PT school and sort of starting to sort of learn from more experienced clinicians who had been working for longer and in the profession longer, I would spend 6 months working with a physical therapy consultant who only dealt with back pain. I would spend 6 months working with a physical therapy consultant who only saw shoulder patients or hands or knees. And so these therapists were and are incredibly specialized in what they do. Now, initially in the early part of my career, my specialization, if you like, was sport. I worked with sports teams. I traveled all over the world with sports teams, and that's what I loved. But moving to the US, having a couple of kids, slowed me down from traveling, that's for sure. And I fell into my specialization, which is now tennis elbow, through working with Buddy. And so Buddy had come to see one of my co-workers at the hospital that I was working at, and we happened to talk about him, and he ended up on my list, and kind of the rest is history. So Buddy and I are still really good friends, and we look at each other, and I kind of go, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be doing what you were doing. And he says exactly the same thing back to me, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have found my passion for tennis elbow. I wouldn't have found how much I love treating this particular problem, and I wouldn't have the understanding of how in-depth you have to be when you're treating it. Tennis elbow is not one of the more sort of like sexy diagnoses that people like working with. As physical therapists, people like working with sort of juicy kind of ACL reconstructions and shoulder instabilities and different things like that. Tennis elbow is not one of those things that people really have a passion for working with, and neither did I until I met Buddy. But what I found through working with him is that it is multifaceted, it is multifactorial, and you have to address all of these different things if you're going to heal it. If you don't, it's not going to heal. And that's what happens when people go to PT and they see a general therapist who probably sees maybe 1 or 2 tennis elbows a year, and they have the general treatment. You can go on YouTube and you can find general treatment for tennis elbow. And a lot of it is actually detrimental to tennis elbow. A lot of it will make you worse. You may well have found that. You may have been to physical therapy and it made you worse. See, that's not okay. And so that's when people then kind of go, oh, I had physical therapy, it made me worse. What's next? And they are then looking for the injection or the brace or the surgery because they tried PT and it didn't work for them. You just didn't try the right type of PT. You didn't try the right combination of things. And obviously that's what I developed with Buddy. So I would love to know if you are watching this, if you're watching live, please feel free to comment live. If you're watching on replay, please hashtag replay just so that I know you've seen it. But I'd love to know if you've had physical therapy. If you have, just raise your hand, just let me know. But what was your experience? Did it work? Was it a good experience? Did it help? Was it helpful at the time? These are all the different kinds of things that people sometimes say to me. But I'd love to know, why it worked, why it didn't work, what your experience with that was. And then obviously if you're in this group, it likely didn't work for you or it didn't work fully for you and you're still searching for answers. The other thing that I would love to know is, what is your physical therapy copay? Because I've worked in the US now for 17 years and I have seen the change in insurance reimbursement over that time. I know, about 10 years ago, insurance companies used to pretty much pay everything, and there'd be a very small copay. It might be $5, it might be $10. And I know over time that has changed. I know that people now who have really good healthcare insurance are probably paying around $25 for a physical therapy copay. I know people who are paying $50, $75, $150 copay per physical therapy sessions. That's for each session. So I wanted to kind of almost like poll you guys and say, well, in fact, I might even put a poll in the group and just see who's paying the most. I would love to find out what the range of physical therapy copay is. Now, if you're not in the US, you can still join in with this, because if you are in the UK, if you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, if you're in South Africa, if you're in Egypt, if you're in India, if you're in the Philippines, if you're wherever, you more than likely have paid out of pocket for physio to try and heal your elbow pain. How much was a session? How much were you paying for a session? I would just love to know the range of where we are in the world, sort of with regards to physical therapy, physiotherapy, and where that sort of is sitting right now. So if you could put that in the comments for me, I will put a poll in the group. I think it'd be really interesting to find out what that difference is, and just to see that difference, see who's paying the most, who's paying the least, where are we finding those discrepancies. I think that'd just be really, really interesting. So if you have any questions about physical therapy, please let me know. And I've spoken to people in the past where they'd done physical therapy, it had got them to a certain point, but they just couldn't take that next step, whether it was getting back onto the tennis court, getting back onto the golf course, whether it was getting back into the gym. There was something, they just couldn't quite make that next step. And many, many times it's a super simple fix. It's like literally one thing that they have to like add in or just kind of like build to kind of change. So if you are in that category, if you have kind of done really well with physical therapy, but you just can't get back to the next thing, let me know, because I do offer free consultations with me where you can tell me your story and we can figure out what is the next best step for you. And sometimes it is as simple as that one switch. You know, there was a lady in the UK, from the UK relatively recently, and she was in exactly that category. She'd done pretty well with physical therapy and was pain-free most of the time, but just could not get back on the tennis court. And so we chatted, and the solution for her was to buy my book. She got my book. You know, you can get it on Kindle. It's like $10. She got the book. There are videos that go with the book. She implemented that. She's back playing tennis. You know, it was just that one thing that was missing, and she found the answer. So if you sit in that category, let me know. We can chat, we can figure out what the next best step is for you. I do have a limited number per week, obviously, you know, my time is pretty limited, but reach out and we will make that happen. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you heal, so please reach out. It's really great if you can put questions in the group, because if you've got that question, somebody else probably has as well. So please feel free to do that, and let's get these questions answered. All right, so let me know how much your physical therapy copay is. Let me know how much the cost of a physio session is, and I'm going to be answering more questions as we go in through the coming weeks, and I'm here to help you heal. So let's do this. All right, I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.